Romance at a glance. Romance at a glance.
What you say now?
Romance at a glance.
Go ahead, girl.
Well, hello and welcome to Romance at a Glance. I'm your host, Bridget. With me, as always, is my co-host, Shani. How are you, Shani?
Bridget, I'm so good.
I'm just excited to see your face twice in one day. What a fun day, doing an interview and doing a recording.
It's amazing. I had a really fun day today. Like, I have good energy from today.
I have very good energy from today. Also, like, spoiler alert, I also had a glass of Prosecco. So my cheeks are feeling very smiley. So that's exciting.
We should do an episode of this totally just lit.
Just lit the fuck up.
Like, we should read a crazy book. We should read a crazy ass book and then get lit and then talk about it.
I love this idea. Yeah, I think we should get to like one or two drinks past tipsy, not full drunk, but then drink during the hour of the episode. So like by the end of it, we're just like, or like take shots. Like every time someone says, I like that trope, like take shot. Every time one of us says throuple, take shot. This would be out of control, or a hit, or whatever it is that we're doing. Well, I'm almost done breastfeeding, so we're about to get cray when you come back to LA, Shani.
Oh, hell yeah.
From 6 feet apart, but cray.
Super great.
Today, we're pretty excited. We're talking about Sated in Ink by Carrie Ann Ryan. Carrie Ann Ryan is an indie author, and this book is a menage. Which is honestly why we picked it. We wanted to make sure that we featured some different pairings this year. And so we wanted to make sure we, of course, got in a few of our fave throuple and or menages. So I'm not really sure what else I need to say at the beginning of this intro. Do I need to say anything else, Shani?
Nah, let's get it popping, Bridget.
Let's get this shit popping. Okay, everyone, as you know, we are reading Sated in Ink this week, and it is book number 2 of the Montgomery Ink saga, Contemporary Romance, a Menage. Shani, before we get into it, I would like to talk about the cover art and about my misconceptions about this book. So, on the front cover of this book, you see a man who has no shirt, and he has tattoos, and it's called Sated in Ink. And I thought this book was going to involve a tattoo or involve people who work at a tattoo parlor or something along the lines of there being ink involved, not involved in this plot at all.
No.
And I also, from the front cover, did not get the menage vibes.
Yeah, I didn't either. I mean, we knew it had a menage, but I didn't think the cover really represented what was happening in the book. It just seemed like they put a hot guy on the cover and we're like, look,
it's just a hot dude.
Hot guy on the cover. They'll buy it.
I mean, she's not wrong. I'm not opposed to man candy. The cover with the people with the tattoo, and like I looked at the rest of the series covers and they're all similar where they have people with tattoos on the covers, but none of them are about tattoos. So that confused me a little bit. That said, once we got into the book, I was less confused. So typically I do some author fun facts, but we actually did a written interview with Carrie. So you can go to the website and check that out at Romance at a Glance / I actually don't know what the / is going to be. Go to Romance at a Glance. You'll find it on the main page. And it is fun. We asked her a whole bunch of questions. She was generous enough to answer. The reason we did not do a spoken podcast interview with Carrie Ann is because she asked us not to. She said she's a little too shy to spend an hour with us two hooligans, and I can totally respect that because sometimes we can be too much, Shani.
I mean,
we can sometimes.
You know what, Bridget? We are not too much. We're extra. That means people are getting double their pleasure, double their fun. Okay? We are
bonus,
extra.
A bonus.
Bonus.
Yes.
We're bonus. That's what we are.
We're the cherry on top of the already delicious sundae.
Exactly. Exactly. I am the caramel.
You are the caramel. I am the vanilla. I would like to talk about the fact that I did not know the word triad, though. And
oh, you didn't?
I think I must have heard it at some point, but I did not know the word triad. And so I was like, oh, okay. So then I was like trying to think like what are the definitions of menage versus throuple versus triad. And so I would like you to tell me what the definitions are.
Okay. Well, I'm by no means an expert at this. However, I think throuple and triad are interchangeable. Could be wrong, but when you have a triad, all three people are involved in a relationship together. So they have their relationship as a threesome, and then their individual relationships between them. So in this case, Ethan and Lincoln, Lincoln and Holland, Holland and Ethan, like those individual things. So I think they consider it to be 4 relationships. I think that's, if I'm doing the math right.
Yeah.
That like there's 4 relationships happening.
4 makes sense.
But yeah, so that's the same as a throuple. Like a throuple is the same as that. I think they're interchangeable.
Okay.
Versus you don't necessarily have to be in a throuple to be in a menage. A menage just means that a lot of people is doing it at the same time, but they don't necessarily have to be doing it with each other. That could be like a threesome, or where the swords ain't crossing. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right. Okay. So I thought this book was going to be a menage, and then we open on Ethan and Lincoln, who are the 2 main male characters, saying that they've been best friends their entire lives and also have had secret crushes on each other almost as long. But neither one recognizes that the other person has a crush and is willing to sort of rock the boat and ruin their friendship until they meet Holland. So when I was reading the opening chapters and Ethan was talking, they were on a run together, and Ethan was talking about like how hot Lincoln looked, and then Lincoln was talking about the same thing, and like one of them checked out the other one's junk and was like, well, he knows that I'm bisexual. I really need to get laid. And I was like, wait a minute. Who's going to be fucking in this book? And I was excited.
Well, yeah, because you can have a menage, and a triad together.
Well, yes. I just assumed when I read that it was menage and that it was 2 guys and a girl, I assumed that meant that the 2 guys weren't going to also be together.
Yeah. Which you're not you're not wrong in terms of like a lot of books that I read, because menage is my catnip. Like I love menage.
It is.
My favorite is Shayla Black and Lexi Blake. They do menage well together. But a lot of them, the guys aren't together. They're like 2 cowboys working on a ranch, and then they get a girl, and then they, whatever. So it was actually kind of cool to see one.
Ladies are scarce. They all decide to share.
Yeah. There's a series. There's actually a series like that where there are way too many cowboys, and every time a new woman comes to town, it's like she's like bait. Like she's like,
you've heard the thing where it's like, in LA I'm a 6, but like in Montana I'm a 12.
Yeah.
You've heard that saying, right? Like when you go other places, because like for those of you who don't live in Los Angeles, there are just beautiful people here. I mean, and it's not everyone, certainly, but all people who are trying to make it in acting, in music, in just like a variety of things where it is helpful to be good looking, come to LA at some point in their careers, maybe stay for 10 years, maybe they stay for 3 months, who knows, but they all come here at some point. So there are some neighborhoods where you walk around and you're just like getting a sandwich and you're like, why the fuck is everyone in here so hot? Like girls, guys, like everyone is just like, and they're so chic and like put together, and you walk around and you're like, man, I really am not that good looking. And then you go travel in other parts of the country where non-people who spend thousands of dollars a year on their appearance live, and you're like, oh no, I am good looking. I am normal looking. Okay. It's just those people are abnormally good looking. And I'm just right in the good sweet spot of just looking cute, So if you ever come here, check your ego at the door, because it is a harsh comeuppance.
I think that's hilarious, because I never noticed until like not that long ago when somebody said that to me. They were like, oh man, I tend to feel bad about myself in LA because everyone here is so beautiful. And I was like, what? I had no idea. And then I started looking around and I was like, huh. Yeah. These are some pretty hot folks.
Yeah. I mean, I like the neighborhood I live in because it's more like regular people live here. Like industry people don't live where I live.
Yeah.
So I like that because everyone here is just like, normal peeps. But yeah, there are definitely some neighborhoods where you, like if you're in Hollywood or you're in West Hollywood or, I don't know, Studio City getting a coffee. Yeah.
What?
Like you might see a fucking Avenger getting a coffee near you. And you're like, oh, well, that man has 8 abs. I've never seen 8 abs in my life.
Very
fun
true.
fact. Fun facts. You might see Jake Gyllenhaal just cash getting a muffin. Could happen.
He could have my muffin.
So,
you know what I'm saying?
He could have I would let him have all the muffins. I love him so much. That actually happened to my cousin Caitlin, by the way. Caitlin, shout out if you're listening. She was in a coffee shop in Hollywood getting her like standard, she's having coffee with her dad later. So she's getting 2 coffees and 2 like whatever muffins or baked goods. And it was like apparently the last one left. And he was in line behind her and talking about how he was hoping that the muffin would be left and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, she ordered it. And he's like, oh, I can't believe you did that. And my cousin could be so sweet, but also so vicious. And she turned around and she's like, well, I would give a fuck if Prince of Persia wasn't so bad or something along those lines, like paraphrasing. And like absolutely shredded him. And his friend started laughing hysterically. It turns out his friend was Chris Pine, who my cousin was like childhood friends with because they're like my aunt and uncle are friends with his parents, and or were at one point. I don't know if they still are, but it was just a funny like LA story. And in my mind, she's an actress too. And I was like, what's wrong with you? Don't be mean to people who can get you in parts that you want to be in. Like, why don't you befriend those smoking hot dudes behind you and hop on that D? You could have had your own goddamn menage with Chris Pine and Jake Gyllenhaal. I was filled with fury. I love Jake Gyllenhaal so much. I was filled with fury.
I'm arguing that she had a better chance of nailing him by being an asshole than by being sweet. Because I'm a dick to everybody. I'm a dick to guys all the time. And it's like they keep coming back for more and I don't understand it.
So I don't disagree with you, except I don't think she needed to be like sugar sweet and like offer him the muffin. But she could have just been like, yo, bro, I was in front of you in line. Sorry. Like, she didn't have to like eviscerate his film credits.
I know that's a good story. I like that one.
Okay, so let me tell you the story of this book. So Ethan and Lincoln have been best friends their entire lives, secret crushes the whole time. Neither one willing to rock the boat, ruin the friendship. Until when they're out running, they see Holland sitting on a park bench in a wedding dress, drinking wine from a paper bag. Everyone else is sort of ignoring her, and they're like, something must be wrong. So they go up and they say, hey, is everything okay? Can we buy you a coffee? And she sort of unfolds the story that she caught her then fiance on her wedding day getting a blowjob from her little sister. And it was clear it was not the first time. And that sort of starts as them becoming friends. And eventually the guys sort of say, hey, I like her. She's kind of great. And then they all get drunk playing Mario Kart. And one thing leads to another. I have gotten drunk playing Mario Kart. And one thing has led to another, Shawty. More times than I can count. That I was so in for that scene. I was like, I 100% have been there where you're just like, everyone's laughing and you're teasing each other and you're playing and everyone's like being competitive and you're taking shots and yeah, I was into it. I was so into it.
I mean, it is kind of real life. Like you're playing video games with your boo or somebody you like, whatever. And it's mad casual. And I think the fact that it is kind of casual is what makes something happen. Because if you were to go like on a date, it's so much more pressure when you go like on a date and you're sitting at the table together and then do I invite them in? Do I not? What's this or whatever? But you're just playing Mario Kart. I mean, cash, straight cash.
We're just chilling. You kiss me, I kiss you.
Exactly. Well, first, you like somebody wins and then you punch them and you're like, oh man, you won. You hit them and then they like smack you back and then you're like, haha, and then they wrestling a little bit and then their breath is on your neck and then you drop the controller and all hands are on deck and then, oh my God, where's Princess Peach? She's at my Princess Peach. Oh my God. or something like that.
I mean, in this scenario, I thought it was cute that like she had to like forfeit a kiss, or he had to forfeit a kiss to her because he lost, and then she kissed the other one, and then she's like, "Well, it's only fair you guys kiss now." Like kind of as a semi joke, but also wanted to see it, and they were like, "Fuck yes!" And then shit got real. One thing I liked about this book, Shani, is I feel like in a lot of books, the character who has the least sexual experience, which typically is written to be the female, but not always, goes into these situations. And like once that happens, they would immediately fuck in that scene. And I actually liked that she was like, I've never had sex with two guys at once. I don't know. I want to say yes to you, but I don't know what that entails. And I actually really liked that because like that is true. Like I have had a threesome and it's like, you don't know what's going, like, you're like, yeah, I want to have sex with you. But like, you know, and she says like, I don't want to do anal. I'm not sure I'll ever want to do it. And they're like, that's cool. Like, he's like, I can have sex with him. So like, I liked that she like set boundaries and she didn't like get swept away. Like so many of these books, like the female's brain gets swept away and she's like gets digmatized. And all of a sudden she's like, actually put it in my ass 10 times and come all over my face. But I told you I didn't like any of those things at the beginning, but all of a sudden she does. And I liked in this one that she like set a boundary and they respected it and didn't try to like, they didn't like when they were in the first time they hooked up, they were just using like hands and like sucking on her tits and stuff. And they didn't like try to slip the dick in. They didn't try to like, oh, come on. Like there was no, like, I liked that about their relationship.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I also thought like they had it in their minds to like court her, you know, not just, it wasn't just supposed to be like a bang thing. It was supposed to be like, oh no, we really like her. We want her to be a part of this with us, you know? So like they were treating her like, you know, you would someone you wanted to date, which is really good. And digmatization is such a real thing. Like
it is, but I just get tired of it as a trope.
No, I totally agree with you. I don't like it when I read it in stories. I don't like when they set a boundary and then they like just sweep past it and it's like, oh, I got carried up in the moment and the guy doesn't respect it and whatever. Like, I don't like that. But in real life, I have to say, like, so in like, one of the best things I found in kink is that like when you negotiate whatever you're going to be doing with your partner beforehand, you don't deviate from that plan. So you don't renegotiate mid-scene. So if you've agreed that, oh, okay, we're just going to be kissing and heavy petting, halfway through, you're like, no, I want to fuck. It's like, nope, we don't renegotiate mid-scene. And I like that because for me, mid-scene, I want to do everything. Everything's on the table. Everything I said was off the table is on the table. Like my lizard brain is the only thing operating and I will get pregnant. My body will get me pregnant mid-digmatization. Okay?
You're hilarious.
So
I feel like I'm only like, I don't know, maybe I'm like 60% that. Because like I always want to have sex. So like I always, like if I'm in any situation in the past, I mean I have a husband now, so like we can have sex whenever we want. But like in the past, if I was in a situation where we were both like, oh hey, like, you know, we're just gonna keep it like PG-13 today. Or we're just gonna like be making out on the couch or something. Like I always want the D. Always. But I have never been like digmatized to the point where I'm like, I don't know. Like I don't really like anal. So I've never been digmatized to the point where I'm like, put it in my ass. Like that doesn't, I don't ever get to the point where I'm like, you know, pee on me. Or like I don't get to the point where like crazy shit starts happening, I guess is my point. Like I certainly get to the point where I'm like, your penis needs to be in my vagina immediately. But yeah, I don't typically.
Oh girl, I get there.
I don't. Yeah, you go crazy.
I get there. I was signing over my firstborn child. Like my brain leaves and walks away. It's drinking a slushie at 7-Eleven, and it has left me in a weird autopilot that is broken.
No, that's the other thing though, because okay, so in literature and in real life, even if that is the case, whoever you are having sex with should respect the fact that you ahead of time said,
yes,
this is like my spot. So like, even if she had said, no, I'm okay with it now, like I would have wanted them to be like, you know what? There's always tomorrow. You know, we can always talk about this later, because it is very hard to think clearly when people are like sucking on you and kissing you, and you know, your imagination is fucking thriving with like what could happen next. I mean, it is very hard to like keep your act together. But I really liked that they like respected her. One of the things that I really liked about like going along with that same thing is when they went to meet, or when Lincoln and Ethan first hooked up and went to his parents' house. And it was the first time that they had gone to the parents' house
as a couple.
Like, yeah, as a couple. And they were like, oh, we are dating. So I like that they didn't hide it. And then they were like, and it's not just us. And they were like, and her name is Holland. And I thought that that was so sweet that they like had so much hope that she was going to be with them, and so much like desire that she would be, that they, before like the family even met, before they even were really like quote unquote super serious in a relationship, we've been together all together a long time, they were already like staking that like she was the one who was going to be with them, which I was like, I was all about. I thought it was sweet.
Oh, I mean, it could have gone one or two ways. I mean, I feel like it's sweet or it's like a little bit creepy, but
well, it wasn't written. It wasn't written creepy, Shani.
No. But it's kind of like, well, so there was an aspect of that which it was sweet. However, I like in the story, I felt like the insecurities were rampant. Like they kept talking about it, kept talking about it. And I thought that scene was actually a good scene to like solidify like how they felt about each other. You know what I mean? And so even with Holland, like they already told their family about you. You know what I mean? Like, and there was just so much of this going back and forth that drove me crazy. That I was like, come on, guys.
I 100% agree. That dropped like a whole star for me. But did they tell her that though? Because she wasn't there. And I don't recall a scene where they told her, like, we've already told our family. I mean, I guess his sister and her friends came over, and like his sister-in-laws and stuff came over. So that would indicate that he's like already told everyone and is serious. I just, my big thing was like, it was hard for me that all three had insecurities. Like it felt like if she had insecurities because she'd been cheated on by her little sister and her fiance, which would shatter anyone's trust in love and humanity. Like if she was the one who was like, they were both like, no, we have to figure out how to make her feel solid and make her feel like, you know, she's like, we need her. The one whose insecurities and like storyline I felt like got repeated too much was Lincoln's with his art, because he never confided in them, and so they could never help him resolve it. And I thought the logical result, or rather the logical resolution, was that he was going to naked paint them. Did you not think that an erotic paint show was going to happen, Shawnee?
Oh, I definitely thought it was going to happen, Bridget.
I mean, he talks, like he sketches them.
Yep.
And then he gets out the red paint to paint her hair. And he's like remembering the way they look. And I was like, oh, and then he even sees her and he's like, the first thing he thinks is, I want to paint her. And I was like, yes, I want you to paint her too. Then paint her body. Then have sex. I was thrilled. Did not happen.
No.
Did not happen. Happened in my mind. Didn't happen on the page.
I thought so too. I mean, so how did you feel about Holland's mom?
That lady's a bitch. I thought she was the worst. So Holland's mom comes to her house, blames her for the sister cheating, and blames her for not marrying him anyway, even though he was getting a blowjob from the little sister at the wedding. And is basically the worst. And then later comes back again and is like, why won't you answer your sister's phone calls or my phone calls? and like basically like shots at her. I was fine with it because part A, some people's parents are really terrible people. So like, and I mean, it's true. Like, I'm sure you have a friend. I have a few friends who like their parents suck. Like, they're just bad people and they treat their kids like shit. And I have a few friends who have cut their parents off because of that. And I have a few friends who haven't and then keep going through that pain over and over. And so I was okay with it because for me, it showed that she like finally stood up to her mom. Then she stood up to her sister and kind of owned like, okay, yes, I was sad, but also like I wasn't like flourishing and I wasn't doing what I wanted. And now I need to like be a whole person. So I thought she was the worst, but also I was fine with it in the story.
Gotcha.
What did you think?
One, I do think you're right. I do know some people whose parents are unbelievably crazy. And if I hadn't witnessed some of the shit they do, I'd be like, there's no way someone's parent would do that. My parents are crazy, but they're still like lovingly crazy.
Right. Totally.
But I guess for me, I felt like the mom, the agent, I felt like they were super like one dimensional. Like it was like that bad character, you know, like here's your conflict, here's bad character. There's not much to them. Like, you know, need them to fulfill like a device in the story. Like, so for me, I felt like it annoyed me. I do think also, just as a general note, that the narrator of this book annoyed the shit out of me. Like, I found it so difficult to get past his voice. And it wasn't that he had a bad voice, to be clear. When he did the men, he has a really lovely voice for a man. When he did the women, it was so terrible that he made them sound like, I don't know, like, hi guys. I can't even tell how that would be. Like, just imagine your dad, you know, doing a woman's voice. Anybody's dad doing a woman's voice is how it sounded. And I swear I had to rewind so many times because my brain just like
and that would make the mom especially grating. I didn't mind it because the mom wasn't in the book very much, so it didn't really bug me. I did think Damien was very annoying. I thought he, like you said, was one note. I also was like mad at Lincoln for not firing him sooner because like he was doing some pretty egregiously unacceptable things, like coming into the apartment with the key unannounced, like looking at his work when he knows Lincoln doesn't accept that. Obviously, like flirting with him and trying to touch him on the shoulder or the arm, even though Lincoln's like, please get out of my house. I mean,
like, it was bad creepy.
It was really creepy. Did you see it coming when he assaulted Ethan?
Yeah. I knew they're setting him up to be the crazy person in the story. He was crazy, and when he came to his studio initially, I was like, oh, okay.
I know, but did you think he was gonna like try and murder him?
Yeah, I definitely thought that. I thought he was going to either try to murder Holland or Ethan. Like, that was my assessment.
I guess I was thinking it would be more of like a hostage situation versus like a tire iron in the car park. But
I have to say, I mean, I've read a lot of menage books at this point, and they all read like this book. Like, there's like this formula to the story, and I don't know what it is. Maybe because menage is not mainstream, and a lot of the authors are indie authors and newer authors. So for me, the writing, a lot of the characters tend to be one note, and you can see what's coming in the story ahead of time, and like, you know what I mean. So I'm hoping that over time, as these authors grow a little bit more, we'll get slightly more complex story with menage. But again, on the flip side of that, I don't read menage books for the story. I mean,
yeah, let's talk about the fucking, Shawnee.
Yes, let's talk about the sex.
What was your favorite sex scene?
My favorite sex scene, well, actually, my favorite sex scene, I didn't even include Holland. It was Ethan and Lincoln, because
at the beginning,
I like that one the best. I don't know why, but when they described that he was jerking them both off, I just was like, yum.
Yeah, I wrote down this line for you, Shawnee.
Which line?
Because we've talked about it in numerous other books. I need lube, Ethan growled and then pulled away.
No,
I'm sure you have some, right? Lincoln asked, and Ethan just nodded. Of course I do. I'm not a monster.
That's my line. I wrote that line.
I knew you would like that one. So to catch you guys up, if you didn't catch all of our Black Dagger Brotherhood or some of our season 1 picks, in the Black Dagger Brotherhood, 2 of the characters have sex, and he goes in raw as fuck. Now, they are vampires, so we sort of excused it because we're like, well, they're vampires. They heal right away. Whatever. It's like, it is what it is. But there was like no spit, no lube, no nothing. He just went pow, straight in there. No foreplay, no loosening him up, no getting him ready, no preparation. It was just like wham. And we were like, that is some crazy shit. It's vampires, we'll excuse it, but that's crazy. So I knew you would love that he was like, I'm going to get you ready. And then like she kind of described how it was happening. They used lube and then they were having sex. I thought that sex scene was super hot. I really liked the whole thing. I liked when they were like sort of flipping a coin over who got to be the top on this one. I thought that was really cute. I liked them together. I thought they were very charming. Like I definitely agree with you. The insecurities were the worst part of this book. But aside from that, I think when they were actually together, I thought she did a really good job of like sort of the repartee, the 2 of them teasing Ethan about video games, like them kind of all learning about like her learning about Ethan through Lincoln and vice versa. I thought it worked.
Yeah. So, and also like this book is a good example of like, nothing really happened like in the story, but they still seem to move it along. I remember we read another book where like nothing happened and we were like, it was just really boring or whatever. But this was kind of cute because they were getting to know each other. And you did have these different aspects of their lives or their jobs or whatever that you were seeing as they were getting to know each other. So I did think that was kind of nice that it was like there was a story, even though nothing happened. I just don't think the story was very good, but there was still something.
I didn't think that it was I thought it was very simple, but executed in a fine manner. Like we've read a couple books and obviously we've both read tons of books where it's a simple story done badly.
Yeah.
Or it's a very complex story that has a shit ton of plot holes. So I appreciated, because this book is a very quick read, I appreciated that like the story is simple. 2 best friends are in love, but never tell each other. They meet a woman. They decide that they're all going to be together,
Yeah.
They have a little bit of workaholism. They have a little bit of artist anxiety. They have a crazy person who tries to, kill one of them. And then everyone's happily ever after. And the main family who welcomes them both in is like one of those families that's only in movies and books and like is the best family of all time.
Yeah.
And like the rest of them will have their happily ever after too. So like I appreciated that it was like not complex, but it was executed in a manner that I found pleasing and fast. And like you said, the sex scenes were good. And
and I preface that by saying, like, I specifically go to these books for the sex. I don't care about the story because we're talking about it on the podcast. I'm like, okay, I'm critiquing the story and how I feel about it. But like, I would tell anybody who's like loves the sex scenes and wants a book to get off to, that this book will do it for you.
This book will do it for you. Let's talk about my favorite sex scene. Can you guess which one was my favorite?
Was it the phone sex?
You know it was, Shawnee. Is it? You know it was the phone sex. Of course it was. That shit is my jam. Okay, so Ethan and Holland are at Ethan's house, and Lincoln is at his house, and they video chat Lincoln, and they're all in bed naked, and then they basically decide like, hey, well, we're not all together, but that doesn't mean we can't be together. So they like reposition their cameras. and Ethan starts like eating out Holland, and she's like playing with her nipples and looking at him, and he's like, I'm gonna read it to you because it's so good.
Read it to me.
He tried to keep his eyes open, did his best not to come right then and there, but he couldn't help it. All he could do was imagine Holland's mouth on his cock, Ethan's dick in his mouth, and try not to blow right then. And I was like, yeah, for sure.
Yum.
For sure. Yummy. And then they all have a night. And then I thought the best too. So it's very hot. You know, they all are fucking and it's great. And then afterwards, they're like, meet for coffee? And they're like, yeah, sure. Like, I just love it. I thought it was so cute. Because I could totally see that if I was in a menage where you're like, not all together, but it's like you want a little sexy time before you all meet up in public.
Yeah. Screw a menage, man. This quarantine has got me.
Or
like,
yeah,
I mean,
true for you. You're just like video sex games probably off the charts now.
I told my partners, I was like, y'all need to get yo sexting, video chat, dirty talk like on deck because at first they were like real low key about it, and I was like, guys, I have the highest sex drive like with either of my partners, so I'm always I always feel like I'm bugging them, like, hey guys, come on, let's go, hey, what you doing? You know, but the thing is, like, they're both working, and I'm working from home, but I have much more time, like free time, and free time for me is not good because then my brain just starts going to fantasy land, and then I'm like, I wonder what those fools are doing. Like,
yeah,
call me.
You're like, I'm alone. Let me lock this door real fast. I got an hour. What am I gonna do for an hour? I'm not gonna take a nap. I'm obviously gonna masturbate. What am I gonna think about?
It's so funny to me because I think about it. You know, like I've been weighing, like, okay, do I want to have a kid? And I realize how much time I spend masturbating, and I go, that time would be gone. It would be gone.
It's not gone. I still masturbate all the time. You just have to be. You just can't do it whenever you want anymore. That's like the real thing. So you can still do it every day.
Yeah.
But it's not like all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I just had this great little fantasy in my mind. I'm just going to like masturbate real fast or for a really long time. Who knows what kind of time you have.
Yeah.
But like if you have kids, you have to like plan it into like a nap time, or you have to do it before they wake up, or you have to do it after they go to sleep. So it's just like you can't be as free with it.
That sounds
terrible. It's the same with having sex with your partner. It's like you can't have sex at, 10 a.m. if everyone's awake. You have to wait until everyone takes their naps or goes to bed at night, or wake up early to have sex or something. Or if you have kind relatives, they'll take your kids somewhere for you. And then you can have sex while the kids are gone. Yeah, it's great. So I liked that scene. I liked the one thing I didn't really like, and this is kind of, related to your insecurity thing though, is I thought Lincoln and Holland's reaction to Ethan being in the hospital was so fucked up. Like, so Ethan gets jumped by Damien, gets rushed to the hospital. Thankfully, he's able to like hit send or like redial, and Holland picks up and hears like the shouting, calls his brother who gets over there. They send an ambulance. Lincoln picks her up. They rush to the hospital. Lincoln is all up in his head because he knows Damien did it, and he's like, "This is my fault. Like, I did this. I ruined this. Ethan should just be with Holland and without me," which like doesn't make sense at all. But I could see in trauma where you like aren't thinking logically. And he goes back to his house, which is dumb because they haven't caught Damien yet. And then Damien tries to assault him. They like get in a kerfuffle, and then Lincoln ties him up, and the police come. So after the police come and get him, he doesn't like go back and see Ethan and like talk to him, or like even just like Ethan describes how neither of them is like his family's there helping, and neither of them is close to him and like giving him what he needs. And I'm like, even if you were going to leave someone because you thought you were the bad person, at least for like the first week they're out of the hospital, you should be like there for them. Like put your shit aside for them.
Yeah.
And then the first second that they're alone, Lincoln is like, I can't do this anymore. You two should just be together, and leaves. And Ethan like can't get up and chase after him because he has like, his concussion, all his rib problems and stuff. And then Holland is sitting right next to him, and she's like, I came in between the two of you. This is all my fault. And I'm like, in what world, you crazy bitch? Like, he just got mugged. This has nothing to do with you. Her thing made no sense. And then she leaves him too. And now he's alone.
Yeah.
And I was like, this man can't even walk around his house. What are you two doing? Oh my God. I was so mad. I was like wanting her to be like, having realized, because she realized when he got hurt that she loved him and Lincoln. So I wanted her, when Lincoln left, to be like, we have to go get him back. Like, we have to figure, like, you and me then have to figure out how to get him back.
Yeah.
Because I wanted her to, like, kind of own, like, no, you two are mine now. So, like, I'm going to get you back.
That would have been hot, especially because they talk about how there's no them without her, So, like, they're like a package deal. So when he's like, oh, okay, well, you guys just do this without me. It's like, well, no, that's not what we signed up for. We signed up that this was going to be a thing. And then, like, the fact that they both threw those little fits at the end it hit that annoying spot to me where I'm just like, get it together already. Like, I don't want to read a whole book of insecurities. Like, even ask for reassurance. Like, I would like to hear that in a book. I would like a character to feel insecure in a story and then say to their partner or whoever, like, I feel really insecure. I feel like you might leave me. I feel like I'm not enough for you. Like, I would like to actually hear that out loud instead of just always in the mind.
I say that literally constantly to my husband. Not constantly. That's an exaggeration, everyone. You guys know I exaggerate by now if you listen to this podcast. I say that to my husband, I say at least once a quarter. Like, very seriously. I'll be like, I feel, whatever. Like, we've been spending a lot of time apart because of XYZ. Or we've been spending, like, in quarantine at the very beginning. Like, the first month was really hard. And I was like, this month has sucked the big one. Like, what we've been doing isn't working. We need to do something else because I am not feeling, like, wanted or loved or taken care of. And, like, I don't think I'm meeting your needs because I don't know what they are, because this is a completely different dynamic. We've never spent this much time together. No one's ever spent this much time with their partners in the history of, like, fucking modern work. No one, you know what I mean? So we, like, had, really big talk a couple days in a row, and then we figured out, because we didn't figure it out. The other person just said, this is what I need from you, and then now we can do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think those conversations should be ongoing. I think those would be, I think for people to read that they're not the only people who feel insecure. And then you can say to your partner, hey, like, what's the deal? Like, even in a new relationship in a book, like, you didn't jump my bones last night. Like, should I be worried? Should I be like, or am I up in my head about that? Like, because I remember, like, when I was younger in college, and it was like, like, you just fuck so much in college. And, like, I remember, because first of all, you got so much time on your hands. So much fucking time. And you guys, your hormones are fucking raging. And it's like, for me, the person I had sex with was the first, like, we dated for a little over a year. And it was the first person I've ever had sex with. And sex is so fucking fun. Orgasms with a bomb. Sex is the best. So we were having sex constantly. But I remember distinctly, like, the first day we didn't have sex, I was like, do you not want me anymore? Like, we've had sex every day for the last, like, 6 weeks. Like, what's happening? Are you? And he was like, no, like, of course I want you. Like, we just fell asleep. It's not a big deal. We can have sex today and tomorrow and the next day. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I was just checking in. Just want to make sure.
I think it's funny too, because you are correct. Like, college was a whole lot of sex. And the funny thing about it too is, like, looking back, I was not having good sex. Like, I wasn't orgasming.
Oh, I was.
Like, it took me a long time to find out, like, how my body worked, how I orgasm. But it honestly didn't matter because sex was still fun. Like, it still felt good. Mm-hmm. It just didn't, you just didn't reach the end. You know what I mean? I call it like a really nice massage and a wrestle.
To your point, I have figured out my own shit. So I would say that I orgasm more than I like more often. But I definitely was having great sex in college. But also that was just like a freak of, my mom says like you hit the jackpot. Like I literally did. Like I got so lucky in this, not in the sense of like I got so lucky the stars met, but like I got lucky that the person who liked me back, we were very compatible, and neither one of us had been in a relationship before. So we were very eager to like explore and try things. And like, if I like bit him on the neck and he like shuddered, I was like, "Ooh, you like that? Let's try it again." Or like, if he like whatever pushed me up against a wall and I was like, "Hell's yes." Like we figured that shit out together.
Yeah.
But I even if I don't orgasm, like I don't honestly, like I just love having sex. Like
that's what I'm saying. It's like the orgasm is fucking amazing and great, and like
fucking amazing.
As a grown ass woman, I'm like I'm enjoying the orgasms I'm having, and I'm like, how did I go without? I could never go without them again. Like I could never be young again and do that. No. But still, having sex was fun. Like finding places to have sex and running around, and you had so much energy. Yeah. That's the thing. That's the thing. I look back and I go, "Oh my god, I have so much freaking energy to do crazy shit."
I feel like also I just needed someone to like look at me with a little bit of intensity, and I was immediately like so wet. I was like, it's true, Shawnee. Your body was like, "Oh, he looked at me. Your nipples are hard." You're like, maybe he wants to have sex with me every time.
I believe it. I believe it because, man, I told you my body's trying to get me pregnant. The one thing I didn't understand was happening though at the time. So like my entire life, everybody's always thought I was a lesbian. I mean, I can't tell you how many times my cousin said to me, yeah. So like
I never got that vibe from you.
Well, you're the only one apparently. Because my cousin came out, she left her husband for another woman, and she had four kids, and she was like, I had to do this. I had to live my truth, whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. And she's like, but really, I did it for you, Shawnee. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, huh? Like, what do you mean? she's like, I felt like if I live my truth, you could live your truth. And I was like, I hate to break it to you. I mean, when I was like 13, 14, 15, I really considered like, hey, Shawnee, are you a lesbian? Because I didn't like girls or boys. Like I went through a period of time where I wasn't attracted to anybody. So I was like, shit, maybe I'm asexual. Maybe I'm a lesbian. I remember distinctly going to school and looking at girls like in a sexy way to see if I like them in a sexy way. And I'd be like, ooh, what about her? She's really pretty. Nah. Okay, what about her? I actively did this, Bridget. I was a weird kid. But
Shawnee, let me tell you a story about how we are so different. But I too deeply considered it. Because I was like, well, I don't want to miss out on something because I'm not considering it.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that my options are open, my eyes are open. And so I like kept my eyes open to see if there were any cute, especially more so in like, I would say like more so in college, because in high school I didn't date anyone or do anything with anyone because I was like not ready for that. But in college I was like, okay, like I'm not gonna like not do it if it feels right. But it just like am one of those people I was never even like, some girls are like, oh, I just like hooked up with someone or I dated someone for a month just to test it out. I never did that because that felt very rude to like test it out. I'm like, that other person has feelings. And I just never felt like, oh, this could go beyond like a fun makeout. Like girls are beautiful. I can imagine making out with one, but I can't imagine like eating one out or something. That just doesn't.
That's what happens to me. Whenever I get to the actual sexual element of it, there is absolutely nothing. And I'm like, I feel like, God made me with all the attributes of a lesbian, but then forgot the lesbian part of it.
I feel like the reason people think you're a lesbian is the reason people have thought I'm a lesbian in the past. And it's just because you are opinionated and you are firm in your opinions.
And
which is traditionally a more masculine. You do. I have had short hair too. Short hair weirdly makes people think you're a lesbian.
It automatically makes people think you're a lesbian.
Yeah. I was just depressed. I cut it off.
But that was the one thing looking back in college I realized. So I was super naive. Imagine like a kid who's super sheltered, went to church like 7 days a week, and I remember that there were this group of girls that used to invite me to do things all the time. And one of the girls in the group was always just like on top of me. Like, and by that I mean like in my space, whatever. She'd always be like, "Ooh, girl, I like your toes." I'm like, "Thank you, that's so sweet," or whatever. And literally, as looking back, I'm like, oh my God. Like, I didn't even see what was happening there whatsoever. Like I feel like I was just like, do. That was like college for me, and my relationships and stuff. Like my first boyfriend, it was very cutesy. We were very cutesy. I don't remember why I got on this tangent, but I just remember like being slightly oblivious to when people were flirting with me or like wanting something from me. Like,
I was never oblivious, Shawnee. I had such game. I miss the like the potential, the possibility,
Yeah.
Because I'm very satisfied with my choice in husband and spouse, but I miss that like I know he's coming home with me. He's my husband. Like I miss that feeling when you're out somewhere and you look at someone and like that moment, that charge, like what's going to happen, like the possibility of that moment. Like we could just never look at each other again, or we could like have a drink together, or we could like make out right here, or we could go home together, or we could go behind this building. And like, there's the possibilities are just all there. And I also miss the like hunt, like the thrill of like, I miss that because I was not in like a sex predator way, but like me and my friends used to joke that I was a predator in the sense that I was like looking for prey.
Yeah.
Like I was like not prey in like a weak sense, but like I was hunting for a certain thing, and I was good at finding it, by God. And I miss those days because they're so fun. Like, man, they're so fun.
Bridget.
I'm glad I took advantage of them because I would be sad if I look back and like didn't have my fun.
Listen, I did not get game. Probably, I was in college for like 10 years. Probably to like 5 years in.
I didn't even know about that.
Let me tell you the story. I'll make it quick. Okay, so I was working at the South Beach Wine and Food Festival, and if you volunteered, you got $700 like scholarship or whatever. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna volunteer for this. So you just basically you show up there. I went to a culinary, like a business school. So everybody kind of had you had like a chef jacket or a sous chef jacket. So I was wearing that with like one of the little hats and stuff, not looking my best whatsoever. And I roll up into the kitchen and I'm like, okay, I'm here to help. I'm a volunteer. How can I help? I see this big guy. He's probably like 6'3" to 5", heavyset guy across the room, and he runs stumbling over himself to where I am, and he's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I can help you. And I was like, okay, that's a little strange, but he was a little cutie or whatever, and he was like, let me take you to the station. Now, mind you, he was helping someone else at the time at this happened. He literally just dropped that person, came over, and he set up my station for me. Like, instead of just handing me the stuff, he like set up my whole station. He was like, "This is how you chop the onions." And I was like, "I know how to do this. This is like my third time doing this festival." He's like, oh, okay. And then the whole day he kept coming back around. "Hey, how you doing? Are you good? You good? And whatever. And I was just like, this is so strange. So anyway, so at the festival itself, I'm still helping out. So I'm in my, scrubs and stuff like whatever. And as I go by his booth, he's supposed to be feeding these rich ass people who've paid for the festival. And as I come around, he's like, hey, come over here. You gotta taste these shrimps. You gotta taste these shrimps. Shrimps are my weakness. So I was like, okay, I gotta go over there. So I did. And he's like giving me all these shrimps and stuff off of this gourmet ass platter. So fast forward, I know he likes me. He's a white boy from DC. He's like all about the chocolate. So I know that he's doing a Top Chef competition that my school is holding, and that they're doing an assembly line feeding. They're doing like where you can taste the food. So I put on, I think, my cutest like espadrille heels and my cutest like pink dress, and my hair all did and shit. And I had a big afro at the time. And I rolled up there and pretended I didn't see him. I rolled up. I got there. I pretended like, oh, I'm just a student on the campus and I don't know what I'm doing. And I just pretend like I didn't see him. And so I get in line to get the food. And I had convinced my girlfriend to come with me. So I'm like pretending to talk to her, and she's like, oh, okay, he's looking, girl. And then, so as we're coming up, there's like 3 people ahead of me. He literally doesn't feed them anything. He scrambles, makes this whole plate or whatever, skips these 3 people and comes straight to me. I was like, oh, got him. He's get him. And boy, I mean, he flew me all over. He fed me all over. I mean, he was a good one. He was a nice little snack for a while.
He flew you all over, like the country in airplanes?
Uh-huh.
Oh, Shawnee. Girl.
Yeah, he put me up in nice hotels and shit. I was like,
Nice. See, that's where we're different, because I would have walked in and I would have looked at him and been like, with my face. Not with my words, but I would have been like, we gon' fuck. And then he would have been like, yeah, we are. That would have been that. I have a funny story that I'll tell you another day, Shawnee.
Okay.
Or maybe it'll be on Patreon later, because it's not safe for work. None of this is safe for work, but it's a good one. Maybe we'll do that on Patreon. We'll just do funny Shawnee and Bridget sex stories, because we have a bunch.
Oh my God. At least tell me, a reminder so I can say, hey, tell me that story.
A reminder?
Yeah.
Bathroom?
All right. Okay.
Could be a good reminder.
Wait,
also, I have a really good children's park story.
Oh, ooh.
Not involving children. It was nighttime. It was 2 a.m. It was raining. It was sandy.
I commend you.
It's a good story, though. Yes. All right, we're going to take a quick break, guys, because we've gotten very off topic. When we come back, we'll come back with our ratings. Hello, best friends. Thank you for being loyal listeners of Romance at a Glance. We're so happy to have you. If you'd like to support us further, head over to Patreon, where you can become one of our patrons. We've got a lot of great perks, such as merch and a super secret discussion group where Bridget and I talk to you directly about all things romance and all things nasty. So come on over. And now, back to our show. All right, Shawnee, we're back.
Yes.
Let's talk about Holland. What did you think? What'd you give her?
I gave her a 2.
Ouch.
Yeah, I know.
Tell me why.
Honestly, like, I think 1, the narrator killed it for me. He made her sound like a simpering idiot. But then 2, it just kind of drove me crazy. Like everybody, the insecurities took over the book for me, and I just needed them to move through that quicker. Like, it was, y'all are too old for all this. Have a conversation, talk it out, Fuck.
And like believe what the other person says.
Yes,
because none of them believed what the other people were telling them.
No, but then they were they were like having sex and doing couples things, and then not believing that they were in it together, but y'all fucking right. I mean, I read menages to escape. The reason I read a menage book is to escape. So to have them be like droning on and on and on is not an escape for me. So anyway, that's how I felt about it.
I gave her a 3. I thought she was funny. I like that she was like sort of stating her boundaries and her needs sexually, and like, hey, I've never done this. Like, how does it work? I don't think I'll ever do anal. If that's a deal breaker, like, let me know. I agree. She definitely lost major point for like not embracing what they were telling her, that she was important and she was a part of this. And I really didn't like her leaving Ethan after he got hurt. She lost a star for that, but she did keep 3 because I liked that she stood up to her sister and her family.
Yeah.
So I gave her a 3. What did you think about Ethan?
I gave Ethan a 3, but I wanted to give him a 2, but I gave him a 3. There was a point in time where Lincoln basically says to him, like, my dude, you are not stepping up. You are not doing what you need to do. And I just had mad respect that he was like, you right.
I gave him a 4 actually, because I said the same thing. Like, I like that he put actions into changing his workaholism, and like when Lincoln said that, like immediately went to her house to apologize and to like show up.
Yeah.
I 100% agree. I gave him a 4. He got the best score out of the 3. Spoiler from me.
Spoiler. Okay, what did you give Lincoln?
I gave him a 3 also.
Oh,
I
man.
really wanted to like him more, but I did not like that he didn't fess up his feelings and like that he had a block in his art. That definitely lost the whole point for me. And then leaving Ethan after the assault lost a whole point. But I thought he was fine otherwise. Yeah. I did like that he to your point, that he confronted Ethan and was like, hey, we're going to lose her. Like, you told me you were going to do this with me and you're not. Like, I liked the way he like cared for Holland and cared for Ethan and like the sexy times and stuff like that. And also like, where was my erotic painting scene? If there was an erotic painting scene, he could have gotten a 5. He could have gotten a 5 in a heartbeat. Yeah. Or maybe at least a 4. But yeah, I give him a 3.
I also thought that I gave him a 3 as well. But I thought that the sex scenes in this book, even though they were menage and, you got a lot of sex, I actually thought they could be better. Like, I thought they could be more descriptive of, of sex scenes. And I think because we're just coming off of LJ's Hunter, where she is so descriptive in what's happening. Yeah. That I missed it. I was like, but how? So but how does his penis feel? And what's is it warm? Is it, what's happening? Is it like, I just wanted I wanted more description.
Yeah, I wonder if we had read this after Real Men Knit, if you would have been like, this book is the tits. Because that book had almost no sex. And then this book has.
Probably because I have to say, I mean, LJ really set the bar for the sex scene
she's the smutty.
Yeah, in a contemporary romance. Like, I know that if I go, if I'm reading erotica or certain authors, that it's full on sex, but it's more in the erotica zone. This was, she's like writing a romance, and then I'm like, holy shit, this sex scene is killer, and so it hits different. It just hits different.
It's different,
So yeah.
All right, I hear that.
So McDreamy, McSteamy.
I said they were both I thought everybody was McDreamies. This was a McDreamy triad for me. Everybody was all about the feels and the love.
I agree. And it was even though it was hot, I didn't think it was like kinky or BDSM or like that sort of thing. I just thought it was,
it was just vanilla.
Vanilla swirl.
But in a good way. Yeah, a swirl of vanillas. Did you have any other favorite lines in the book aside from the one I stole from you?
No, you stole my line. That was my line too, because doing it without lube, you're a savage.
I know, you're such a savage. With no lube. Yeah, I love that he's like, I'm not a monster. It's so good. I mean, this is kind of a descriptor of the book, but I just thought I liked the way it was written. It said, Ethan Montgomery thought he had his life figured out until the moment he and his best friend met a woman in a wedding dress drinking wine out of a paper bag. And I was like, that's funny. I liked it. Good description. All right. My favorite review was from Marianella Ibar. And her blog is called Mari Loves Books Blog. She rated it 4 stars. And she said, this is so much more than I expected, and I loved it. It's not just a menage romance. It's a story of moving forward, forgiveness, opening your heart again, and trust. Holland, Ethan, and Lincoln just find just that. It seems as though Ethan and Lincoln were waiting for Holland all along. Their relationship fit, and it had me giddy. It's hot, passionate, and sweet. And I thought that was true. Like, I like the relationship. I liked that they were waiting for her and that they always respected her and like put her on the same level as them. I thought it was good.
Nice. My review is from Audible, and it's from somebody named whatever my name. And it's repeat 3 stars, and it's repeat, repeat, repeat. I wanted to love the story, but the way each of them continually said the same negative things over and over and over and over again drove me crazy. If they had taken out most of it, then the book would have only been a third as long. We got it so many times that they were all insecure and none of them thought it would work or continue. Really? Well, I did. I didn't need to be told it every other sentence. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating a little, but not by much. Tor Thom is a great narrator, but I do wish they would have had different ones for the main characters. For me, not worth the credit. And I found this to be true, obviously, because I think the main killer of the book for me was how much they harped on the insecurities. And then the author, I thought he did really well when he did the men, but he murdered the women's voices. And
the narrator?
Yeah, it made it really hard to like find her sexy when she's talking to him. She's like, "Oh, guys, I mean,
that's not how I read her at all. That's like, we've talked about this before, dear listeners, but that's my main thing. It's so hard for me to lose myself in a story because I get so wrapped up in the way they're talking. But when I read, I can just make everybody sound the way I want them to sound or the way I think they should sound. So that sucks. Because I feel like you might have liked it a little bit better. Because she got the worst score from you, but I didn't think she was the weakest character. So
yeah,
it would have been interesting to see if you had a better narrator, or if there had been like a female narrator for the female characters or something like that.
Yeah, I think in a book like this, it would have been helpful. Like, I normally don't need them to switch genders of the narrator, but I think it would have been helpful in this book because women are not his like strong suit. And his voice sounded familiar, but his name doesn't. So I don't know if he's a new narrator on the scene or not. But yeah, I think if the narration was better, I would have liked the book. Like maybe a half a star more or whatnot. But yeah. I gave it 3 stars. Like, okay. I think it does what it's supposed to do, which is like give you a little story, get you off, and like give you a quick feelsies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish we did half stars because I was gonna say 3.5, but I know we don't do half stars, and I'm like on the fence between 3 and 4. But honestly, I think it's 4 stars for me because it was just sweet. Like, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed reading it. It was really. I think if this book had been, some authors would have overwritten this like another 50 pages or 100 pages.
Yeah.
For like no real reason aside from that they just were like adding more things. And I think then I would not, but it did not take me very long to read this book. And so I got everything I wanted out of it. I got some sexy scenes. I got some sweet, I like those feels. I got the sweet, sweet romance. I liked his family. I would be intrigued to read another book about one of the other pairings of his siblings or Ethan's cousin.
But you don't really read menage books, right? Like,
no.
Because I think that's also
infrequent. I mean, I have a few, but not as a general rule unless they are fantasy or aliens or
Well, I think that there's also like another aspect, an aspect of at play between us in this, which is I have read a shit ton of menage books. And so in this grand scheme of the books that are available, this was not one of the better ones, if that makes sense. It's kind of like when you read a book at 17 and it's like amazing, and so you've read so many more, and then you go back and read that same book and you're like, oh, well, this is all right. Well, okay. To me, this is like okay, but there are like so many better ones than this one.
Do you want to hear something funny, Shawnee?
Yeah.
I just looked at my notes and I gave it a 3. I was thinking 4, but I gave it a 3. I'll still give it a 3.5, even though we don't do half star ratings.
It's funny because I wanted to give it a 2.
It's a 3. It's a 3 in my notes.
The funny thing is, I wanted to give it a 2.5, but because we don't do half stars, I was like, I'll just give it a 3. But because
we're just meeting in the middle, sweet middle.
Yeah, I'm just like, like I don't hate it. I don't hate this book. It. And Carrie and Ryan, I have read other of her books, and I'm pretty sure that there are other books that I like a lot more than I like this book.
Yeah, so this one could just not be the book for
you.
Yeah,
so I would suggest that if anybody's reading who likes Menage, to also look at some of her other stories as well. This is also book 2 in the series, so maybe book 1.
Right.
This is the Montgomery Inc. But I would like to have more description of tattoos, and I did like the idea.
I just thought
it being in a tattoo parlor, or
I was just confused. I honestly, when you chose this book originally,
I like the synopsis.
I was excited. Yeah, the synopsis was good. I was excited. And in my mind, I was like, oh, Sated in Ink. And they have tattoos. It's going to be like something, like I was like, maybe someone's going to give someone a sexy tattoo. Or like they're working together in a tattoo. I don't know. Like,
you realize he only has one tattoo in the cover art. Like,
but it's called Sated in Ink.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's like Sated in Ink tells my brain that there was a lot of ink, right? He only has one tattoo in this picture, but like he doesn't actually.
Maybe that
he looks like the guy that you know is gonna get the douche tattoos, like only those real classic ones, like the barbed wire on the arm, you know, like.
Oh my God! Did I ever tell you about the guy that I hooked up with who had an enormous Cubs tattoo on his arm? No. It was fucking his whole shoulder was covered in the Chicago Cubs. I'm from Chicago, okay? I'm fine with you having some sort of team affiliation. When I say this tattoo was enormous, like he took his shirt off and I just like burst in hysterical laughter. It was such a big tattoo. Oh my God. Hilarious. Also, he was like a grown man because when I was living in Chicago, I was much younger. I was like 25 at the time, I think. And he was definitely like 31. And I was like, look, if you want to see me again, that sounds nice. I was like, but you need to call me. Like, you're a grown man. You have a job. Like, I don't want to be texted at 2 a.m. like, you up. Like, if you want to see me again and actually, like, go on a date, like you said, then you need to call me and set it up. And he, like, kept texting me. And I just kept responding, you need to call me. Like, I'm sorry. But, like, if you want to be in my life as, like, a relationship, not just, like, I met you at a bar, I thought you were hot, and we had great sex. Like, that's great. I'm fine with that. But I'm not interested in pursuing that anymore with your giant Cubs tattoo arm. Sorry. Well, everyone, we are out of here for this week. It was a fun week. We have had a great week. We've been doing a lot of author interviews, so make sure you subscribe. Keep your eyes and ears peeled for that. We just did LJ Shen. We did Sonali Dev. We're doing Jill Shalvis. We're doing Jen DeLuca. We're doing. Who else just emailed? Someone just emailed me today too. Another person.
So we have Nalini Singh. Coming up.
Nalini Singh will be coming up in the fall. Scarlett Peckham, Tara Jansen. Stoked about that. Ooh. I flipped. Oh, Tessa Bailey just said yes, guys. We got interviews.
These are my favorite people. Scarlett Peckham, Tara Jansen. Oh my goodness.
Ooh. Yeah. Until then, may your books be your lover.
And your hand, your best friend.
Thanks for listening.
Subscribe to our channel to get new episodes, clips, and more.
And click here to watch our previous reviews and author interviews.